In this lesson, we'll finish out the interior structure of our headlights. Alright, so it's coming along nicely. Let's go up here and move up to our headlight. I'm just going to select the headlight cover here and just hide that real quick. And let's take a look at what we have here. We have the well for our headlight. And we basically just need to add these three kind of identical housings with the bulb and the lens cover on those. So we can probably just build one and go ahead and duplicate that. So, and then we'll just go ahead and place those in there. One other thing that we might want to add, we take a look right here. You can see we've got this kind of little bit of detail just to add that little bit of extra detail in here, and that's basically just a kind of a ridge that's coming out from this housing underneath the glass, kind of around the back end here. Okay, we'll go ahead and add that. All right, so first thing that I might want to do is, you can see now we have this subdeed, but it's really low res, so that if I convert that back to a polygon, it's really low res, and it's kind of, the points are all coming out, and I kind of want to make it a little bit tighter. And I also want to use some of this geometry to pull out that ridge. So rather than have this as a sub-D surface at this point, it's so low res, I'm going to just go ahead and smooth this, and that's just basically going to do it's going to create a smooth result like a sub-D surface would. It's just going to do that by adding extra polygons. So we go up to smooth, and we'll use these settings, just one division level here. I'll go ahead and smooth that. You can see how that smoothed it down. Instead of being a subdivision surface, though, they're now just new polygons. Okay, so now I have these polygons all along the top here that I can use for our little ridge. So I'm just going to go in here and select some of these faces to utilize for our ridge here, and maybe come all the way up here, and we'll actually taper that down so that it kind of tapers into the side there. And let's go ahead and grab these guys. Alright, and now I'm just going to do a quick extrude. And rather than pulling it out like this, you can see we get some intersection over there. I'm going to go ahead and just scale those in the world axis here. I'm going to just scale those in. Okay, that's actually pretty much what I want at this point. We just need to kind of take these and taper them back into the side here. Okay, so we want it to kind of go right back into the side, taper out a little bit as it comes up. Okay, and I'll grab these and move those back in as well. And now let's go ahead and delete our history, and I'm just going to sub-D that just to add that smoothness there. See how that looks. Let's clean up this part just a little bit. These edges are a little bit too close, and they're creating a little bit of a bump there. So I'm just going to grab those and pull those over, kind of smoothing that out a little bit, and down. And let's grab these, and I'll just pull them up a little bit. And now let's try that again, see how that's looking. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now we need to make the actual piece of the headlight. It's going to go in here. And we can start with a cylinder. It's going to be cylindrical. So I'm just going to bring in a polygon cylinder. Bring it up here. And let's go ahead and rotate this guy 90 degrees so he's kind of on the right orientation there. And then I'll sort of just move him kind of into position, just generally. You can go into your front view if you want and try to match that up a little bit. Here we go. Alright, so we've got the general shape and position here. So what we need to do is basically create some geometry for a rim that kind of goes around. And we've got the shaft that goes back in. And then we've got the convex shape that goes on the front of the headlight, and we also need a shape behind it so that we can actually texture that front shape as a clear kind of plastic cover, and then we can have that the light sort of detail textured on the inside. So we'll have a few separate pieces, but we'll start with this one cylinder. And in this case, we're going to go ahead. First thing I'm going to do is delete these back faces, and then I can just start adding edge loops in here. I'm going to add one right here, and this can serve as our the rim of our piece. So if I want to just grab those faces, I just want the ones around the edge now. Okay, so I'm going to just deselect all of those, and now I'm just going to pull these out by extruding. Extrude that straight out, and again. And if you want it nice and sharp, you can just go ahead and do one more. And then you can go ahead and can add your resolution in there to keep those edges nice and sharp. And now we need to work on the convex shape on the inside here. So I'm going to just grab all these faces, deselect any of those. And then the first thing we might want to do is go ahead and just extrude that. And I'm just going to push it straight back in, right into the point where we want that lens cover to stop, or we want it to meet the housing here. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to stop that, and then I'm going to extrude one more time. And this time I'm going to scale it in, maybe about halfway, and then pull that back out. Okay. And then extrude again, and scale that in a little bit more, halfway again. Pull that out. And just, you can see we're creating that convex shape there. Alright. And we're going to be subdividing this. So if we go in here, we see we have all these triangles, and I like to go in and just grab these edges. Just get rid of those. We've got a nice four-sided piece there. So this is going to be the exterior piece. We can actually go in, let's create a little more. Well, we're actually going to extract that, so we don't need to add that resolution at this point. I'm going to select those faces. Alright, so I just selected one and then did a shift period, which is your greater than sign, and it grows the selection. I'm going to select this entire portion here. So this is going to be the convex shape of our the outer part of our lens here. So I'm going to just extract that. Okay, and now if I select it and center the pivot and delete the history, I'm just going to scale it up just slightly so it's intersecting with this shape here. And now what we want is we basically want kind of a mirror image of this shape behind it to texture some of that light detail of the bulb on. So I'm just going to duplicate this and move it back. And let's freeze those transforms. And I'm just going to scale -1y. And you can see that that's kind of doing the same thing that it did when we flipped across the origin, only we're just mirroring that in y. So if we look at that now, this is the interior part. You can see that we need to reverse those. Delete that history. And this is going to serve as, we'll be able to texture this, put it right behind our lens here. We'll be able to texture this. So this front part will be transparent, or slightly transparent, and this back part will have that light detail on it. Okay. So now, if we go ahead and select all these things, delete their history, and let's go ahead and sub-D that, and this guy, and then our interior piece as well. And then I just want to select all those, and I'm just going to group those together and center that pivot. Okay, so it's kind of in position where we want. If we want to, we can go in and grab some of these points and move them down and out of the way slightly. Looks like it's going to be intersecting just a little bit with our cover. So I'm going to just scale it down just a little and move it down. Okay. And then we can move these points again out of the way just a little bit. Okay. All right, so now we basically have one right next to it that is just a little bit smaller. Okay, so I'm going to just duplicate this, Control D, move it over in X and up just a little bit. And then I can go ahead and scale it down just slightly. Okay, and then we have one that's even just a little bit smaller right next to that and up a little bit higher. So I'm going to duplicate that guy and scale him down even more. Okay, this guy I'm going to pull over just a little bit to make room here. But I kind of want them right kind of next to each other, I guess. And then if you get it where you want and you find that you're not intersecting anymore, you can go ahead and pull that straight back into our housing there. Let's take a look right there. All right, so we've got our headlights worked out. So now let's think about moving those, grouping those together, moving them over to the other side. Okay, so let's see if I show my last hidden, it's going to give me that cover. So I'm going to take this cover and this housing here and just group those together using Control G. If we go into our outliner, you can see where this is. Okay, this is our group here. You can see that these three groups are our headlights. So I'm going to just middle mouse drag those into our new group. And I'll just call that headlight group. Okay, and you can see that since it's a new group that we created, the center is at the origin. So now all we have to do is go ahead and Control D and just mirror that to the other side. Okay, so now when we bring our other body panels over to the other side, that's going to match up just fine. Now you keep in mind that you will have to go in and take care of the flip normal issue, but you've done that several times. Just remember to go in, select those, convert them to poly, select those, and reverse those normals, and you'll be good to go. All right. So we've got the headlight done and mirrored over to the other side. So I think in the next lesson we'll probably move to the back and work on extruding the little spoiler piece that goes up here right behind the trunk.